there is so much that goes into being an indie author, because truly, start to finish, from the moment you have an idea until you hit publish on those platforms, everything is your choice and your decision and your responsibility. And there's no one out there really helping you make those choices. And so today I want to talk about planning my first Kickstarter. My name is Shalana Battles, and welcome if you have not been here before to Chaos in the Margins, and welcome to everybody that has been here before, has been on my channel before, and has been following me for a while. I truly appreciate all of the support, all the new people that I've got to talk to this last couple of weeks as I'm like navigating my way in the writing community and indie author community, which is something I haven't been very good at in the last few years. So I'm definitely trying to meet more people, meet more writers, do more writing sprints, and be involved in that community, which is really exciting. So welcome to anybody who's new, and thank you to everybody who continues to support me on this crazy journey. One of the things that comes with being an indie author is taking on the responsibility for the whole process of taking your idea and making it a published book. And there's a lot that goes into that. And what I want to talk about today is planning my first Kickstarter, because it's a lot of work, but it's not as much or as crazy as I thought it would be, which I think is a good thing. And I am saying that because I know there's this shift happening in indie publishing right now to sell direct. And I still think going wide is really good. Like, put your books in as many places as you can, get as much visibility as you can possibly get. But there is something really cool about having that connection with your readers, selling from your website, selling from a Kickstarter, and building those relationships as you are selling to readers. So I've never done a Kickstarter before in any capacity, not just for writing. And so I'm really excited about this, but I'm very nervous about it. So I wanted to talk to everyone today, because maybe you're planning a Kickstarter, maybe you're trying to shift towards selling direct in 2025 or in the future. Some of the things that I have going on that pertain to me in this specific Kickstarter is I am planning on a March launch, knock on wood. It was originally going to be February was my plan, but I have decided to give myself time to really prepare for this. Like, when I hit launch and that thing goes live, I want to feel so confident in these books and in the Kickstarter, and I just wanted a little more of a buffer. So that's my thing number one that I've learned so far, is be okay with giving yourself time to get everything where you want it. And if that means pushing back your launch date a little bit, push back your launch date. It'll be so worth it to have the confidence going into it. Like, I'm feeling really good about this right now, and I think a big part of that was just taking that pressure off and saying, like, I have this wiggle room now and everything's gonna be great. The second thing that's specific to me is my goal, and I decided to go with $750 for this Kickstarter. It's my first one, and the thing about Kickstarter is you have to meet your goal. You have to meet the goal amount or your project won't be funded. And so that's a huge thing to know going in. And so this took me a long time to like arrive at this number. I did not want to put it too high because I want the project to be funded. I want it to be complete. I want readers to get their books. And so it took me a long time to think about, like, okay, what is it costing me to print a book, ship a book? How many of these different areas am I going to have to sell realistically to reach whatever goal it is that I choose? And so ultimately I came to $750. In my brain, I feel like that's very attainable. I should be able to reach that no problem. And Kickstarter lets you make more than that. So if I make more than $750, great. If I don't, as long as I meet the $750, we'll be golden. The project will be funded. It'll be great. I'm using this honestly as like a learning experience, and I plan to use Kickstarter as a platform for future books. So I really just wanted to like dive in, get my toes wet, and see how it goes. And so there's that. The other thing is, with the goal amount, think about what's going to cover your cost. And there's a lot of things in this Kickstarter that I did not adjust for. And so like my proofreader, I paid her out of pocket. I'm like, my Kickstarter is not going to cover the cost of my proofreader. The covers for all 5 books, because The Man Before You was in there, the Kickstarter is not covering that. It's something I paid for already. That's done. Mariah, my social media manager, Kickstarter's not paying her fees, like what I pay her every month. It's also not paying, she's doing some like special images for the Kickstarter, which is really cool, and I've seen them and they're beautiful, but it's not paying for that either. I have one of my best friends making me some like little gift sets with photos and music, and I'm really excited to see those. But anything she gets will just be from me. The Kickstarter will have nothing to do with it. So if it's your first time, think about those things, because that $750 goal, that's not including all of that. It's not including my proofreader. It's not including the cover design. It's not including the extra images. It's not including that I have a social media manager. Like, I'm paying for all of those things. And so if you are going into a Kickstarter and you want it to cover everything it took to publish your book, like, think about that when you're making your goal. But if you're like me, you're a smaller indie author, this is your first one, there might be cost where you're like, I'm gonna have to eat that cost. And that's the reality sometimes of indie publishing. Now, if I make above $750 and get the books printed, because the Kickstarter goal will cover the printing of the books and the shipping of the books. And at that point, if there's leftover money, if there's profit or something, then some of that might change. But I'm not going into it thinking like, oh, it's gonna cover all this stuff. I'm going into it thinking it's gonna cover the printing of the books and the shipping of the books. And so just know that too. So I have on here, fingers crossed, it covers printing, the sprayed edges, because I want these books to be so pretty. Like the top tier where you're getting hardbacks that are like the special editions, I want them to have like the sprayed edges. So hopefully it covers that and covers the shipping. Yeah, small indies like me, there's cost that's gonna fall to you. And so just decide what that looks like for you. It's gonna be very individually based. You know, what can you financially do? What can't you do? And there could be stuff that you want to do, but it might have to wait for the next book or the next Kickstarter. So just work those things out. I mean, run the numbers, think it through. Where are you at? What are you comfortable with? Type of thing. Really, with this Kickstarter, I'm not as concerned with how much money I make. Obviously, it'd be cool to make more than my goal. But like I said, I just want to get my toes wet. I'm trying to learn. I will hopefully be able to do another video once the Kickstarter closes about how much we made and how it went and all the things I learned. And the other thing you have to think about whenever you're designing a Kickstarter, and when you go in there and you look at it, it's a lot easier to kind of see what I'm talking about. But you have to have your story, and you have to have you know, background on the books and information. And Kickstarter is very, very user-friendly. It has the tabs, it tells you what you need, it'll check them off when you've met the requirement. It's great. It's very user-friendly, which I have loved. It's not complicated, it's not hard. It's easy to go and look at other authors' pages and say like, oh, okay, they have, you know, a video where they describe their books in this way, in their different tiers, and kind of compare what people in your genre are doing. For my tiers, I already know that I'm gonna have to adjust my top tier a little bit. I'm not concerned really with making a lot of money in this Kickstarter. I just want to finish the Kickstarter. I want to make the goal so that the project's funded, it's completed, readers get the books, I have the experience so that for future book launches, I can use Kickstarter as a platform. This is a learning experience for me. But that being said, I still want to break even, and I'm in talking to the people that are going to print the book, like the company I'm printing the book through, and then the individual that I'm getting the sprayed edges through. My top tier, if somebody orders all 5 books in the special edition, I had it at $110, I think, and I would be negative, it was like $25 or negative $30, so I'd be paying $30 on top of what they're paying for their books just to get them their books. So I will adjust that a little bit. It'll probably be like $125 to $130, maybe $150 once I run all the numbers. But in reality, I'll be breaking even. So if you order something from my top tier, I'm not making a profit. I'm literally making what it's gonna cost me to print and ship you your books. And so I think that's something else to like really think about when you're going into this. And like I said, right now I'm not as concerned with it. I'm learning the process. I'm trusting the process, and that's great. But think about that for yourself. And for my next Kickstarter, yeah, I definitely will go into it with everything I learned, and with the intention of kind of turning more of a profit at that point. But I'm really using it like, let's connect to readers, let's continue building this community, be a part of this community, learn this new way of launching books that I do hope to use a lot and kind of become my normal way of releasing a book. So my top things for indie authors that are looking to try this in 2025 are finish your book. That's step 1. I would not recommend, and neither does anyone else I've talked to who is an indie author, recommend launching a Kickstarter before your book is complete. Because if you get your project funded, that's fantastic, but then you have all of these backers expecting a product from you. And you want to be able to close your Kickstarter and print the books and ship them out. You don't want to close a Kickstarter and be like, I'm still finishing my draft, or I'm still going through the editing process, and you have backers waiting months or longer for something that they already paid for. So step 1, finish your book. Finish it so that it's in the condition of somebody bought it and you can give it to them. Set a goal you can meet. Like I said a minute ago, 750 feels realistic to me. I feel like I can sell enough books to cover that. I'm excited about it, and it doesn't make me feel like, oh, I can't do it, it's not gonna happen. So find a number that you're comfortable with, but do it strategically. You know, I thought long and hard about, okay, what cost am I willing to eat, or have I already? Because I've already bought covers, I've already paid for some proofreading. What things do I really need this Kickstarter to cover for me? Printing, sprayed edges, and shipping. Like, I'm not paying for those out of pocket. That's what the Kickstarter will cover. So think about those things specific to you and your situation, and set a goal that feels manageable. Set up the page. It does take some time because you do have to type out a lot of information about the books, and you have to make all your tiers and what's included in every tier and how much it costs. And so Kickstarter is very user-friendly. It's a tedious process, but it's not a hard process. So give yourself time. You're not going to get in there and fill it out and launch it in a day. I've been working on this for a few weeks, on and off, little bits at a time. So give yourself time to make that profile page look super awesome. And yeah, give yourself a realistic timeline. That was my last thing, is be realistic. If you need to push it back, that's okay. It'll be better if your profile looks great, if your books are done, if you have everything in order, so you're launching and you're really just promoting it and you can feel good about that. So give yourself the time that you need to have a successful Kickstarter. Now, I am saying all that as somebody who has never had a Kickstarter in her life, so take that with a grain of salt. That's just kind of like my thoughts after having set up my page and talked to various people that are contributing on these books, like the cover designer, the proofreader, the person spraying the edges, like having all of those conversations with people and setting up my profile. So that's kind of what I've learned so far and where I'm at with everything. Excuse my dog if you can hear her. She is just having a great time on my couch. So if you are an indie author looking to do a Kickstarter this year, please let me know in the comments. I would love to back some indie projects in 2025. Very excited. I've backed stuff from JF Penn before on Kickstarters, but I would love to, her stuff that I've backed has been nonfiction. I'd love to back some fiction indie authors on Kickstarter, so if it's something you plan to do, please drop me a comment. Or if you have questions about the process or anything like that, you can always email me, shalenabattles@gmail.com if you have questions, want a writing pal or somebody to bounce ideas off of. If you're looking for an editor, shoot me an email as well at shalenabattles@gmail.com. I'm also on Fiverr because I do a lot of that stuff as well, and would love just to spend 2025 really immersing myself in the indie community and getting to know more indie authors and read more indie stuff. So that is what I have for you today. Thank you so much for everybody who continues to watch and support. I'm very excited that we're so close to the Grand Mesa Men series, and I can't wait to share it with you all. Bye!